Hey guys, it's Ryan. Second video of the day. Try and get another one in before the Titans game here in 30 minutes, and I figured maybe I'd show you guys how I'm approaching moving all of our hard-coded strings and configuration values out into an external config file and importing that globally throughout the app. So in our API we have connection strings, we have service URLs, stuff like that, and we want to be able to contact that but make it changeable in a configuration file so that it's centrally located, so we just make that change one place, not every time we're using the API or using a service or so on and so forth. You guys kind of know this, you guys are web developers. So what I'm going to do is, so my client app folder is split into modules and services. The services folder is just because my API service is globally used throughout the client app, and I would have it in my app module folder, except for it just gets messy with all the imports because every other module and components need to type check that service for its dependency injection. So when I have to write all the import statements, I don't want to have to keep finding out where my app folder was, so I just put it in a global folder. Anyways, back to the configuration file. We're going to throw a TypeScript configuration file in here. You can name this whatever you want. I'm a .NET developer, so as you've seen before, I'm going to keep the .NET kind of standard naming convention. So app.config.ts. In here, I'm going to export a constant. I'm just going to call it configuration. And it's just going to be an object, so we can put something in here like foo bar if we really want to. I'm not going to put any configuration values in here because obviously I don't want you guys to be stealing all my passwords. But anyways, we have an app config at our root. So now how do we use that? So we know that our app module is our root module, and so we want to load our config file into our app module and provide it throughout the entire application. So in order to do so, let's go into the app module, and just like how we're providing our API service, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to remove this comment because it's no longer really relevant. I think we know what all these blocks mean. Let's go ahead and add our import. So we're going to import our configuration from and app.config. Since it's at the root level of my client app, I don't have to qualify it with any path because our tsconfig starts at the client app. So we're going to do our configuration, then down here in our providers we're going to go ahead and I'm going to cheat off of something else I've been looking at here. The syntax, a secondary syntax for providers are, you can say I want to provide this type configuration, and this is just coincidental that the type in here is configuration and the type in here is configuration. This is actually could be anything in here, and I'm going to use the value of configuration. Now this one actually has to match your import up here. So essentially what this is saying is anytime in our app if we inject something called configuration into our constructor, we're going to use this configuration value that we imported in here. Well, where did we import it from? We imported it from this app config. So if we come here, it's going to be this configuration object in here. So now if I wanted to use that, what I could do is just to show you guys, I'm going to go into my layout component. What I can do is in my constructor here for a component, I can go ahead and I'll need to import the word inject, and then I'll use that here and I'll inject the string configuration, and I'll just name it config. let me just double check to make sure I'm not doing any seeing any syntax issues with something I've worked on here previously. Yeah, so I probably should put this put a private qualifier in front of it. That way it automatically creates the variable outside of here for me, so I don't have to write the setter code inside of the function. But let's just add a foo function here, so something that's I'm gonna delete after this video. But anyways, now I can say config. Probably should remember my JavaScript. This.config, and I could say .foo, and it's gonna pull bar in. So you might not get IntelliSense unless you actually import that configuration. But there's nothing in here that says that you actually need to. So it's not, since we're not using the type here, it's just going to do any. So if we actually use the type here and said type configuration, we'd have to actually import that, do an import statement that references this app.config. But I'm not a big fan of that in this situation, just because it could be anything, and I don't want to have to go change all my import statements if that ever changes. So anyways, I'm not going to show you that it works here because it's too much plumbing. The video would be too long, but go ahead and try it out. I know this works. I'm using on another project of mine. And once again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, then go ahead and drop them down at the bottom, and I will try and reply to you. Thanks, guys.